call the meeting to order and confirm of appropriate meeting notice?
Yes.
Okay. And approval of the agenda.
I'll move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the agenda is approved. Approval of minutes from August 18th to 2021.
Motion to approve.
Second that.
Any questions regarding the minutes from August 18th? Okay, all in favor of approval?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion is passed. Public participation. Anyone wish to speak?
So there's actually 2 minutes that you have to approve. Sorry. We have the 24th also, unless you're going to combine it in one motion.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me? I'm sorry, it
There
blurred on me.
are 2 sets of minutes, and Jenny was.
Oh, okay, you're right. I'm sorry, there are 2 sets of minutes. I apologize. Okay, we'll then approve is it the 25th?
I will move approval of the August 24th minutes.
24th, okay. All in favor, or second? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right, the motion passed for August 24th. I apologize, I didn't add that to the agenda. Okay, public participation. Any comments? No. All right, we'll move on. There was no old business, but we had been asked to add the discussion and possible action regarding a request to move fire commission meetings to a different night of the week. And Linda, you had raised that issue. Would you please explain the rationale for that request?
Oh, sure. I just feel like a lot of our local churches in the area have their events on Wednesday nights. And I feel that it's important to let people have the opportunity to participate or even be a part of the meetings and not have to make a choice.
Okay. Especially
at this point in time, since we have so many things that we're working on. I'm thinking, I thought that maybe Thursday would work. I don't know what that does for everybody else.
Other comments?
I know that we talked about this a little at the town board meeting the other night, and we thought it would be best to keep the meeting date as it is. It's challenging to try to change the date, and already have those meetings scheduled with the conflicts with using either the town hall and in some cases the city hall as well. That Wednesday tends to work pretty well for availability, both for myself and according to some of my town board members in the conversation, them as well. So my reaction would be I would not like to change the meeting date. I'd like to keep them the same.
There will always be scheduling conflicts any given day of the week. We've talked a little bit about this in the years past. Briefly, kind of whether or not there was any interest in changing it. I've heard no concern. Well, actually, I've heard concerns about changing it because people plan long-term for what's going on in the monthly meetings. And I think it's best kept on Wednesdays.
Any other comments? Okay. The town board has had a chance to take it back to their group. Should the city council representatives take it back to the city council and then come back for the next month and take a final vote?
I think that would be a good idea.
All right. We'll
I
plan
didn't
to
realize that the township was going to take it back to full board. I was kind of wondering though, is it the scheduling of the meeting for the board, or is it availability of citizens or anybody that would be interested in partaking?
Well, there's also the fire staff. So you have the chiefs, you have other fire personnel. That's been part of the discussions in the past, and it's been brief discussions, not at length. But the consensus had been each time that Wednesdays posed a lesser of a conflict for everybody that actually engages in these meetings. I understand the concern for public participation or public view, but it is a fire commission meeting, and we want to make sure that the people that participate as active members of the meeting don't have the least amount of conflicts.
Okay, so between now and then too, we'll ask for Jessica to do some work and come up with some type of answer on behalf of the fire staff. Jessica, are you on?
She is not, but I will tell her.
Terrific, thank you. So we'll get an answer from all three areas, and we'll take a vote at yes?
My internet dropped out, so I didn't hear what was the suggestion?
The suggestion is to go back, since the town board is taking the time to discuss it in their group, then the city council will discuss it, and Jessica, the president for the fire staff, will go back and discuss it, and we'll vote on it in October.
Okay, so there is no specific date of week that you're talking about now?
Well, Linda had suggested Thursday, but we need to discuss it whether to move it, period.
Okay.
But yes, the one suggestion was Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
And was that the one that you had trouble with?
Twice a month, the county board is on Thursday nights. So 2 times a month, or most months, it's only once in the summer, but 2 of the weeks would be problematic.
Okay.
Are they consistent weeks, Bill?
Yeah, except the wacky kind of a thing like this week that kind of throws things off, where this week there's both city council on a Tuesday and county board on a Wednesday, because it's the the second and third depend on whether it's a first Tuesday or a second Tuesday. So it's a second Tuesday and a third Thursday this week.
Yes.
Sure.
Yes, and you caught my email where that threw me off too. So.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Any other comments before each group goes back to their own? Okay. All right. Fire chief's report.
I understand Chief Ponsakis was busy. He had a scheduling conflict. He didn't make it in time to participate.
Yes, he was going to ask someone else to speak on his behalf. Anybody?
I have a brief chief's report. This is Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
We responded to 152 calls for service in the month of August, which is a pretty busy month. That may even be a record. I'm not sure, but that's average with 5 calls a day. We normally average around 3 calls a day. So I don't really have an explanation as to why that happened, but I do know that we've experienced a lot of doubling up and tripling up on calls recently. Again, I don't know why, but basically that's,
wow.
We get 2 or 3 calls for service all coming in right around the same time. So fortunately with mutual aid and ABL like that, we've been able to handle all those calls. So no big issues there.
Thank you.
The other thing, as far as training, we had EMS refresher, EMT and paramedic advanced skills, and we did rapid intervention training for fire training, which is basically a rapid intervention team is what we set up at most structure fires, and that's a team of individuals dedicated just for the rescue of firefighters if they get in trouble. And that was it for August.
Busy month.
Yeah.
Wow. And I have to admit, it seems like every time I blink, I hear a siren out here. And so you are busy. I know that. I can verify with the sounds of the sirens. So.
Yeah, like I said, I don't have an explanation as to why. I think it was just, we'll see if it was just a fluke or if the trend continues, but it is, it's pretty busy for us.
Yeah. Well, thank you. And thank you, everyone. And I know as 9/11 approached, it weighed heavily on all of your minds because that just brings up a lot. So I know a lot of people are thinking about it. So thank you.
And it also weighed heavily on our minds.
Yeah. Yeah, it did. Okay. President's report. Anyone to add to that? I don't know if Jessica's not here. Was anyone going to speak?
I think it was been pretty quiet for the association for the month of August.
Okay. General items. I did want to say that there were a variety of other things that we had planned to discuss. Some plans for, there were questions raised about the changes in personnel that would be happening as of January 1, and the idea of job descriptions that were asked about defining. And also if we were to be able to financially begin some of those job shadowing positions earlier, whether by a month or 2. And we have not been able to get together. I've talked to Jim a little bit. We've also, I've started to call other fire districts in trying to get job descriptions from them. And it's been difficult to try to get copies of their job descriptions. Jim also found it kind of empty in terms of finding copies of those job descriptions in the records between Milton and Janesville. So it's taken more than a month. We haven't been able to get that on this agenda, but we are planning on discussing that next month as part of this meeting. So if you wonder why we're not doing that this month, it is not because people aren't doing their jobs. It's just going to take longer than that. So plan on doing that next month. So the meeting might be a little longer next time. Anything?
Madam Chair, could I please ask if Jenny has access to our old ones that we could take a look at so that we can see?
I think the idea, Beth, was that they didn't exist. That's what Jim's finding out, that the only thing that existed that he can find out on record, at least, is the one that was part of the workbook that Lauren had put together. I don't know if you remember that. And that was just a kind of a, which I have a copy of too, just kind of a formal general type of a job description. And we are looking at that as some sample, but it's just a sample job description. And that's why we started to call around for other fire districts to see if there are other samples to draw from as well.
Okay, sounds good.
But yeah, he can't find actual contracts that people have used over the years.
Well, I know that there's contracts that the deputy, they're what they're called were deputy chiefs or battalion chiefs. There were contracts that they were under certain chiefs, but each chief that we've had, Chief Banker and Chief Rhodes, they were going to update our job descriptions, and I just don't think it ever got done. But I do see Chris's hand up. He must want to make a comment.
Yes, Chris.
Yeah, there are job descriptions. The only one that we couldn't find was for the fire chief. And I think there was some confusion as to whether or not the last document that Chief Rhodes had presented the commission was what we were assuming was a job description, but it really wasn't. The problem is the ones that we did have were written for, at the time they were written for when we were being called deputy chiefs. Now we're being called battalion chiefs. The responsibilities are pretty much the same, so we could probably just change that. We have them for, I believe, the administrative assistant, lieutenants, and firefighter. I'm not sure on the firefighter EMTs. We'd have to look on that one, but I know that the chief office, all the officers, with the exception of the chief, are there. We just might have to modify them a little bit.
Okay.
Didn't we have, didn't RW come up with something that we were using for a while when we were in that process?
Well, again, I couldn't find some of it, and I didn't know. When I was going to, or I contacted Jim, and I think Jim and Chris and I were going to meet. I have to contact Anissa to find out if do we still have the opportunity to contact them to see if they have records. I don't know what our relationship with them is, or do we have to pay them to have contact with them again? Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't know what that is. So I'll check on that too. I just want to wait and find out if Jim or, well, Chris found out anything else since then.
I just had a question about the towns for 2022. Are we using the figures that we had been given earlier in the year? And are we, do we have contracts ready for their budgets? I mean, I thought that it was kind of weird that we didn't have anything up as far as the budgets and the town board, the other townships on the agenda.
Well, I think Dan had put together some numbers, but they were based on estimates of revenue sharing and so on. So I don't think we have firm numbers.
Yeah, he had sent that out to us for the last meeting, Linda.
Oh, right. So are those numbers, do the town boards have those numbers? The other townships?
Yes, they had asked for this information and he sent it out.
Okay.
All right. What's concerning is that the commission hasn't, to my understanding, we haven't directed the contracts to reflect those numbers or any specific numbers. The towns are expressing a little, they're at a loss of knowing what a contract number will be. They haven't received anything formal.
Well, we can't, Brian, until we have numbers from the state.
No, we usually have that in September. We have our 2022 budget preliminary with recommendations going to the city of Milton and the town of Milton for 2022 budget. And that budget includes anticipated town contracts and the assumptions of and the approval of sending those out. So we have not accomplished that. We do need to make some formal offer to the towns contractually, something for them to sign.
We're waiting for CPI numbers yet, so that might come at the end of this month. The state numbers for CPI, so we could figure out the mill rate, that would give us the final number, then the evaluations.
But I think, John, what we've done in the past is the town and the city are the final CPI numbers that are weighted on. We address the various towns that have contracts with us, and then submit those numbers to them so they can take it to their budgeting process, and then we finish up what we need to do on our end.
That was true in the former system that we had, but now that we're using equalized value, the equalized value is coming from the CPI numbers I think that's part of the reason why it's taking a little longer this year, because using that equalized value now, it affects the numbers that we receive back.
Yeah, which though my understanding is that they don't get those numbers until they get the student enrollment, which doesn't usually come back out until after the third week of September. So
I believe you're right.
But for October, we need to have an agenda item for 2022 budget and the town contracts.
Okay.
Yeah, we should have that by October for sure. I think all those numbers should be finalized.
Yeah, I think so.
So the town of Milton has a budget workshop. We typically have two, one in September, one in October. In September, we plug in the numbers we know so that we understand which numbers aren't complete. So next week, Thursday, is our first budget workshop. And we'll be plugging in these preliminary numbers with the assumptions of that until we know differently.
Okay.
I do have one question, Madam Chair, in regards to the bookkeeping services. Who has taken over their responsibilities so we know who to direct those questions to in the city?
That's a good question. And not that you need to know who it is, but will they continue to do this? Right. So let me find that out.
Okay. Otherwise, we might need to consider, if that's not the case, secondary sort, a third party solution for bookkeeping services.
Yeah. All right. Yep.
We will need to know who that contact is. Well, the chief will need to know who that is. Jenny will need to know who that is. We do need to know who that is.
Yep. All right. I will let you know. Okay.
It would probably be good for us to clarify in our contracts to the towns that, that we are using the equalized value now, and that, as John stated, it might be later that we get the information.
Yeah. Looks like Teresa's frozen.
I'm writing.
Oh, okay.
I just want to write down what we're just saying. Sorry.
You sit still when you sit still.
Sorry. Hey, I do what I'm told, right?
All the discussion for when it's an agenda item.
Okay.
Next month.
Okay. Okay. Anything else? like I said, that in addition to information about the description of job descriptions and so forth.
Are we also going to need to look for another billing company for 2022?
I think that's a good item for discussion for next meeting.
Why would we need a new billing company?
Right.
Isn't
the company that we're using, is that in conjunction with Janesville?
No, it is not. It is the same company, but we are a separate customer.
Okay, great.
Okay.
Great. Thank you.
How about discussion in the future of who does the books? Prior to the city, we used Siebert. Do you want to have a discussion next month about who does the books?
We just talked about that, and I think that will be on the agenda for next meeting, Brian.
I'm sorry, I was froze for a little while here.
Oh, that's okay.
We know you're frozen with what we have to offer, Brian. Okay, if you come up with anything in addition to what we have talked about adding to the agenda, please get a hold of me either by email or phone. Otherwise, we'll plan on these items added and get those out to you. Adjournment. Next meeting scheduled is October 20th. And assuming that things stay the same, we'll have a Zoom meeting. Anyone make a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay. John had made a second. Brian, motion. John, second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? All right. Have a terrific night.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, everyone. Be safe.
Thank you.